Hello friends and welcome to Plumeria Play. Today we're taking on a build tutorial and we're going to be really delving into floor plans and how to make floor plans and kind of off of that how to make your houses look less boxy. I have an older video about how to build in The Sims that's kind of starting to pick up traction again, and quite frankly I feel like I could do a bit of a better job. That video is really good if you just want like a general overview of building, but I think I want to kind of delve back into a build tutorial series where I take each piece one at a time and really focus on that aspect of it. So with that being said, let's hop into how to make floor plans in The Sims, and this will be base game only and base game friendly, meaning you don't even have to pay any money at all to do this. We're here on a really big lot because I have a few examples that I kind of want to tackle. I feel like there's multiple ways that you can make a floor plan. My first and favorite method is to copy a real life floor plan. You can go on Pinterest like I have here, or you can just Google house floor plans and then you can get really specific. You can say maybe you want a 2-story floor plan, or maybe you want a certain number of bedrooms, or maybe you even want a certain style, like a cottage house floor plan. And you can kind of find exactly what it is that you're looking for and want to build off of. Another option for floor plans is to go to house building websites. It's one of my favorite ways to get floor plans. And you can find some more realistic and simple floor plans with websites like this, where Pinterest is a little bit more big scale. But I will say I did find this floor plan through Pinterest. So today we're going to tackle this house's floor plan just as this example. And I'm going to kind of show you my process and how I copy out a floor plan. For me, I heavily lean on the exterior picture for the floor plan. I find it's easier to take big shapes and then to kind of draw in the lines as I see fit than it is to just like draw this out completely. But it kind of just depends on the floor plan and like generally how I'm feeling about it. So for this one, we're going to try to go off of this here. I'm going to put our floor plan on the screen for you so you can kind of see what I'm working off of, but just know I have it on this screen. So if you see me looking up, that is why. So we're gonna head into the build area of build and buy. And the first thing I wanna do is actually put down our porch. So I'm gonna click on this here for walls and empty rooms. And I am gonna grab this little flat square. I'm gonna actually move our build over here so we have room to do the other examples. But I'm gonna just take that and pull it out to roughly how large I think the house is. This feels about right to me, but we can adjust later if we need to adjust later. And then there's also a small bump out on this bit. So I'm gonna add that in like that. And now we have our porch. This house shape is actually quite simple. So we're just gonna draw a decent sized box. I always just draw the box to what feels right to me, and I will adjust as I need to adjust based on the actual floor plan when I get inside. This house also has a large garage, so we can go ahead and put that over here. And see, I actually built this garage more wide than I did long, which is opposite of the floor plan picture. So I'm gonna just change that up so it's more accurate to size. And honestly, even right now with this garage, I'm seeing I probably should back this up a little bit and give us a little more space in the front. I don't like to build in the dark, so I always just place down a slew of these saucer lights and I just go back and edit them to be where I actually need them to be once I've done my floor plan. So this is not a pretty process, I wouldn't say. Another thing we have to consider on this floor plan is stairs. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a staircase. I usually just put down a filler staircase. A lot of my early stuff with a floor plan is filler. And it looks like our staircase maybe needs to go right about here. And I actually don't want medium wall heights. You can change your wall heights and things from here. So short wall height is definitely my preference, as well as I think a lot of other people's preference, but that does like greatly change the scale of things. So I almost feel like we can move this staircase over and even move our house in maybe at least one tile, if not potentially two. I think just one for now. Now you have to remember, if you move something somewhere, you have to move it everywhere. So I'm also gonna change our porch to match the portions. According to our floor plan, this staircase has walls on either side of it. And technically this is a full wall right here with an archway. So we can go ahead and mimic that as well, because your Sims will actually enter in from the garage right about here. You can see on their photo that the garage has a staircase, but there's actually not a way to do that in The Sims and have the garage be attached unless you want to use platforms. But this is supposed to be beginner friendly, so I don't think we're quite at platforms yet. So we're just gonna let it be flat, and that's totally fine. And you'll actually notice on our picture that there's a little square area where there's actually an outdoor porch zone. I would say it's between 2.5 tiles, so I'm just gonna make it 3. And this is actually supposed to be outside area. So with the wall tool in my hand, I'm gonna hold the control key down, and that's gonna allow me to delete the walls. I don't know if we're supposed to delete the roof or not. We are. Okay, so there's not supposed to be a roof right here. So I'm gonna click my K key to get the hammer. You can also click up here and remove it like that. Our kitchen is broken up by a half wall, so I am gonna drop down 2 half walls. So under the walls and empty rooms, you can see these down here. So we've got half walls, the half wall trim, and the platform trim. So right now we're gonna be worrying about half walls and half wall trim. I'm thinking we're gonna want just a standard half wall. You can see this is automatically click replace with half walls. So this is gonna replace any walls you have down already with half walls, but they also have where you can get a room, so you can automatically drag a room with half walls, or you can click to this one that's place half walls by drawing, which is what I would recommend here. So I'm gonna draw our little half wall right here because that's roughly where it is. I am feeling like I don't have enough dining room space. I feel like the photo has more dining than I do. So I'm actually gonna re-extend it. I'm sorry to keep going back and forth, but this is like a realistic example of what copying a floor plan looks like. So I'm not that sorry. And I'm actually wrong here. This does need to be more squared because there's supposed to be a bathroom that goes back here. So down here, we're supposed to have a laundry room, which this is base game friendly, so we're not gonna do a laundry room. What we'll do instead is do a bathroom and a pantry. So the other thing with realistic floor plans is be prepared to modify. You're just gonna have to. It's the unfortunate truth of it. I actually would like to keep the little hallway vibe that they had though. One, because that's how we're supposed to get outside. So this is supposed to be an outside door. And then we're supposed to have a door here and a door here. Maybe this is meant to be more of an archway now that I'm looking at it again. I think you could go either way with it, but we'll go archway just to make it feel a little bit more open and less like doors are gonna hit each other when you walk out there. But so now we'll have kitchen, dining, and living. And our garage door is doing just fine where he's at. So I'm gonna change the picture over and we're gonna move upstairs. So upstairs you can see is roughly just as simple. So we're gonna go back to our walls and grab our wall drawing tool. For the most part, it just follows the same shape that our downstairs has. So I'm gonna do that. We also have a storage bit right here that I would say you're more than welcome to use should you want to, but I also feel like it's wholly unnecessary if you did not want to have that there. And for me, I don't think I'm gonna put that there. It doesn't really add anything to the build. So right off the stairs is where our primary bedroom and bathroom are going to go. And then it looks like there's some kind of storage like right behind the stairs. Oh, also I have the stairs backwards, don't I? I most certainly do. Oopsie. I'm gonna just grab those and then click the move button and we're just gonna turn them around. Nothing's gonna change except for the way that they're facing. So this is supposed to be our primary bathroom right around here. And then we're supposed to have a closet. I think the closet's supposed to be smaller by all technical means. Like it's supposed to be more like this, which we could do it that way. Now this does end up being quite a large bathroom. A 3x4 bathroom is absolutely huge. For a standard bathroom, you really just need a 3x2 space like this. Oh, they have a walk-in closet. Look, if I would just look at what was going on, there's supposed to be a walk-in closet right here. Just kidding. And this is the shower. Okay. I read this all wrong. This can be the shower, but it will have to be open for base game purposes. But we can let this be a walk-in closet. So we've got primary bedroom, bathroom, and closet. And then we're supposed to have 2 more bedrooms and 1 more bathroom upstairs. So the other bedroom's supposed to come up to be like roughly right here. This is meant to be another closet. And then right here is meant to be another bathroom. And then the other bedroom here, which is really small. And I actually don't like that at all. So I'm gonna pull this out and we'll let this bedroom be bigger and just let the bathroom be closer to the staircase. This is just like one of these areas where real floor plans can get a little weird because it's like technically you'd want about 1.5 tiles for a hallway. 2 tiles is too much. but like one tile feels like not enough. However, the one tile does work. My personal preference is to not have a one tile hallway, but for the sake of this build, we're gonna have it because we're gonna have to have it in both places actually. Because we'll go under fences and then choose a railing to go over here. Same thing with the half walls. You do need to change it to place by drawing, and we'll just draw a fence right there. And so now we have this floor plan is almost exact as it can possibly be in The Sims. I do think it's really important to note that if you're copying a real life floor plan, it's never gonna be exactly the same. And it is okay to make modifications that fit your house better. But now the question is, how do we make this look decent from the outside? Because right now we have ourselves a box. And now is where we're gonna kind of refer to our exterior picture to not make this look like a box anymore. So for starters, we do want a roof on top of this. If you click on a flat ground like this, you'll see this yellow line form above it. And if you click on that, you can build a ceiling instantly, less of a box. While this isn't going to be a full roofing tutorial, I will just walk you through how I'm going to roof it. So we're going to grab a half gabled roof. I'm going to shrink that down just about as far as it can go and pull that all the way over. We're then going to grab a full gabled roof to put on top of that. I'm going to take these little tiny arrows and pull them in on the sides. And then we actually need a second gabled roof for this portion. We're going to want it to come out to where the other one does and just have it go over that part of the porch where it does go further out. For this, I'm also going to shrink in the sides of these because I just don't love the way the overhang is looking. This is actually not working how the picture is. So what I'm going to do instead is actually pull this roof all the way out to the front and then still do the same thing with the gabled roof, and it'll look like that, which is not exactly to what the picture is, but it is closer. And I am gonna pull the sides back out because it was clipping funny with this roof and I didn't like it. We're gonna grab columns and just put them in the exact same spot that our picture has columns, which is roughly like this. And then the picture is actually using a gabled roof facing this direction to go across the entire thing here, which if you pull it out is gonna make it super crazy tall, but it's actually a pretty low pitch. So we're just gonna drop it down pretty far. And then they have another gabled roof where the empty space is facing our direction. And we're just gonna pull that out so it has a little bit of height to it, but we don't want it to be too tall. We're gonna want it to go into the roof cute. So I'm gonna take this arrow and just pull it back until it lines up how I want it to line up. I think it'll be okay a little bit taller. I think we're actually gonna want it to come all the way through. I'm not exactly sure what the back is looking like, but if I had to guess, this piece is coming all the way across like that. Oh yeah, I bet it's exactly what's happening. And we're just gonna lower it until it matches again. And they have this same kind of roof here on the garage. So I'm gonna just copy and paste and then we're gonna resize it. I actually am feeling like the pitches are a little bit low. So I'm gonna pitch them up by 1 on all roof pieces, so garage included, because you kind of want your pitches to match to the best of your ability or it looks a little funny. And then the last thing, they also have a small gabled roof above this. So, or excuse me, not gabled, half gabled. So we're gonna put one of those and just size it to the right size. If say, for example, in our inspo photo, they actually do have the overhang crossing over like this. So I think it would be fine to leave it. It would technically be matching. But if this bothers you like it bothers me, what you can do is if you hold your shift key down and you grab this little arrow, it's only gonna move in the one side. So you can get the clipping off of that, but without making this side not have an overhang. Because I don't know, to me, they look a little silly when they don't have an overhang on this side. But if you hold the shift key, you can then move it accordingly. And now you have essentially a box house that no longer looks like a box. Dare I say, it's pretty close to our inspo photo. I mean, bar like the colors and the windows and whatnot, but that is not what today's video is about. Today is about floor plans and having your house not look like a box. So now let's go over what I think is debatably the most simplistic way of building, and that is to just start with a box. Just have a box. I'd say this is probably the most beginner-friendly method, but I know a lot of people don't like their Sims houses to look boxy, but I feel like even with a simple box house, you can give it the effect of not being boxy by using porches and things like that. So let's say you're really bad at building, you just can get a box, all right? Let's add some light in here. I do not like to build in the dark. I'm actually gonna use a little bit of a trick, and I'm gonna grab a rug just so I can kind of space out areas pretty good. So let's say I might need a bit of a bigger box actually. So I think this is like a good area for a living room. I feel like over here we could maybe get a couple of bedrooms in. And so now we've got a box. We've got 2 bedrooms and a bathroom over in the back corner. But this bedroom is a little small, so maybe let's make it a little bit bigger. We'll just kind of pull it to the front. Maybe this could be the primary bedroom. We could even give it an attached bathroom right here. The best way I can explain this floor plan is trial and error. I don't really have a better way to describe it to you, but we've ended up with a 2-bed, 2-bath house here. I think if you wanted to maybe give your box some more shape, we could even get another bedroom like right here if you wanted a 3-bed, 2-bath house, and that gives us another bump out to work with. I do like what I like to call the hallway of doors method. If you can get like 2 bedrooms and 1 bath in between, it's usually a pretty good way to go about it. For this bedroom, I'm gonna put the door over here because I think for our purposes here, we would want a kitchen. So now we've taken a really simple box and gotten a full floor plan out of it. And now we can consider roofing and how to make this house less boxy in general. So I'm thinking our front door would probably go really well right here. If you also wanted a more formal entryway space, we can scoot this living room over and just draw a wall right here. That may make it where we might need to rearrange some things, but I think the living room works quite well in this direction. You could cap it off with a column, and then that gives you a nice blank wall to put your TV on. You'd probably want some way to access a backyard, so I think for that, a nice sliding door would be best, and we could just put that somewhere over here with the dining room. And that then gives you a place to slot a back porch. Now the front, she could be better, so let's think about how to make it better. We also have the optional front porch here. We may take that. This isn't about roofing, but a quick roofing tip, especially if you're kind of like freehanding a floor plan, is to find the biggest box available to you. So just for an example, right here is the biggest box that I see. So that's where I'm gonna take my first roof piece and put it, and then we're gonna build the roof out from that. A lot of having your builds not look boxy is roofing and exterior decorating. So now we have this blank spot, which would be a great little place for us to put a roof like this on. Immediately less boxy. The front door is just not making much sense. We could move our porch to be a little bit more centered if we wanted to. You could also just put a roof on top of this porch, build the ceiling, and then if you want to be able to put an exterior trim around it, right now it won't go. There's nowhere to put an exterior trim. But if you copy this and you put it back on top, we can delete this roof that we added on that. And then now you can put a trim around it. So you could even just make a small little front walkway area where the only thing that is there is your front door. And that kind of gives the house less of a boxy feel. If we click on any of the rooms and then we grab this double-sided arrow, we could pull it up so it's on a foundation. And I think that helps a house look less flat as well. Something about that instantly just makes that better. Alternatively, you could also add another roof piece as well as columns to go with that. Another thing I like to do to give a house more shape is go with a double roof piece. So while there technically does not need to be a roof piece right here, if you take that and you pull it to the same length as this one and then you match the pitches, it kind of gives the exterior of the house more shape, but without actually needing to have your floor plan not be a box. So now we took a box and we made it less of a box. It's still boxy, it's a house, so it's gonna be a little bit boxy, but it's better. This spot right here is another good spot for the example of the double roof. So we'll match this one up, we'll have it like that. And then I had originally pulled this roof piece all the way through, but I actually think we just need to get a completely different roof piece. I'm gonna match it up in the back and then just pull it to have a little bit more depth. And so now you also have a different setup in the back of the house, but that still looks good and not too boxy. Although my pitches are not matched, now they are. I don't necessarily feel like you would need to add a roof above this if you didn't want to. I think it's okay to leave it blank, but you could also just come in with the half gabled roof and just pull that across this back area if you wanted a roof there. And I think that looks quite cute, actually. That's how you take a box and then you make it not a box. And then the way that I actually typically go about a floor plan is I like to find a house that I like and an exterior that I like and then mimic that in the game. And then, for lack of a better word, to kind of wing the floor plan. So let me see if I could find an exterior that's not too complicated. Maybe a smaller house. Let's take this exterior of this house because it's still a relatively simple floor plan, but it does have more of an interesting shape on the outside. So when I go about houses like this, what I usually do is start with the very front wall and just get it as close as I can. So this is just gonna kind of take a lot of looking at shapes and kind of knowing how shapes work with each other, for lack of a better word. So I'm gonna just kind of draw what I feel like it looks like from the outside. And then there's a small bump out right here. So you might not quite see it yet, but now we have the general shape of the exterior of this house. The only issue with this method is you do kind of have to wing it in the back if you're gonna go this route. However, I do think, especially for a house with this shape, you can just kind of mimic what you had on the front. So now we have this really weird shape that we're working with. The only thing that I did not mimic was the chimney here that we have in the front. I'm also gonna use half walls again for that. So I'm gonna draw a box where the chimney goes. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I meant to have a full wall. We're gonna draw a box where the chimney goes, one full wall, and then we're gonna go up one more page. And then on that one, we're gonna just do a taller half wall. We may need to change that to another wall, but we'll kind of see once we get the roofing together. And then we're gonna very much copy the roofing that they have, which it seems like for the most part, this is their main roof piece and it goes across the majority of the build, kind of like the tip that we gave originally. And this house actually works on my double roof premise that I showed you earlier. So we're gonna put a smaller roof right here. Since we mimicked on the back what we did on the front, we could just pull those pieces all the way across as well. And then we're gonna do the exact same thing, except we're gonna pull this to match up with the outer wall. Obviously, our pitches are a little too tall, so we're definitely gonna have to lower those down. I would just lower down the tallest where you need it and then match your shortest one to that pitch. And we're just gonna line them up like that in the back. On the sides, I actually got it wrong. This is supposed to be the same length as the rest of the other side. So this piece is supposed to come all the way across like that. And so this is a decently boxy house, but it looks pretty nice from the front. Now, the other thing they have on theirs that we don't are dormers. Unfortunately, if you're going base game only under roof sculptures, we really don't have a lot of dormer. Actually, we don't have any, excuse me. There's no dormer options. Some packs have dormers, but not to base game. We can fake our own dormers, however. So I'm gonna just grab this little wall tool. We're gonna make sure we're on the right floor, which is the second floor. And then I'm gonna just draw our own dormers. They can't stop me. I can have them if I want them. Now, these are gonna be blank spaces that are quite frankly used just for show. They're not actually gonna be spaces that you can use that well for your Sims unless you plan on doing some teleporting or something. But then you can just roof those like you would roof anything. And now you have a little bit more interest on your house, which is nice because, you know, she was a little boring before and now she's less boring. Now, when it comes to floor plans for these, you are kind of on your own. So I'm gonna kind of show you what I look for to make a floor plan when I'm just full winging it. First of all, we need our lights. So the things that I'm gonna most heavily consider are where are my entries and where are my exits. Our entryway has to go right here. That's like the planned entryway. So I'm thinking if I do want a dedicated entryway space, it probably needs to be roughly this big. That doesn't necessarily mean we need walls right here, but that is roughly what our entryway space is gonna be. Our exit can go in a couple of spots. So maybe for now, I'll just toss down a sliding glass door so I know I want an exit. I don't really necessarily want it to perfectly line up with our entryway door though, so I'm thinking more off to this corner. That's just personal preference. You could obviously, if you wanted to, put it right here. And maybe that'll be the best spot for it. I guess we'll see. So then I see this little nook and start to think to myself, oh, that's a perfect little bathroom nook now, isn't it? And if that's a perfect bathroom nook, then right here is a pretty good bedroom nook. And honestly, we could even fit in another little bedroom right here. We could even do like a diagonal wall to have our hallway of doors like I like to have. Now, these are both rather small bedrooms. This one mostly. Where's my carpet? It does fit a rug though, so it's gonna comfortably fit a bedroom quite well. Just for the sake of our entryway, I'm gonna leave it closed off and put an archway in just to indicate its location. So the next thing I'm gonna be looking for is an area where I can easily fit a TV, meaning blank wall space, or a place where I could get a blank wall. My gut reaction is to go over here in this corner, but it feels a little large to me. I don't really think I need that much space for a TV. And I also know for a fact that I want at least one more bedroom and bathroom somewhere in this house. I'm kind of leaning to putting a bathroom back here that we could kind of build a bedroom off of. This could easily be a nice primary bedroom. We could keep our living room where we have it. And then honestly, maybe even put a little office nook or a fourth bedroom right here. So that kind of gives our living room a little box, and we can face our rug either way depending on what your window situation looks like in the front here. We could have our dining room here in the center. And since this is a primary bathroom, this is going to be a relatively open wall, which to me is a perfect place for a kitchen. A rather large kitchen at that. You could easily fit an island in this one. So this is a larger floor plan. We're also going to be able to fit a dining table that's longer with plenty of room for extra chairs. And honestly, I think that works quite well as an open concept floor plan. You've even got some extra room over here if you wanted to extend this bedroom. You can give the bedroom some better shape that way. And then honestly, I kind of don't like this diagonal wall here. So I feel like I would come in with a square wall now that we've got a little bit more space over there. You could also do things like add in a coffee bar or a real bar over here to take up some more space. We can also flip our island so it's coming in this way. I feel like that's the thing with floor plans is a lot of them are kind of open-ended and it's really whatever you want to have happen. Oh, I actually quite like the island face that way a little bit better. You could also, if you wanted to have your door here instead of here, you could put your kitchen in this nook. I actually like that better. The doors don't feel as shotgun style because this is definitely not a shotgun house. And the kitchen feels a little bit more centered in the room to me. And still you have plenty of space to have your dining room, your island, your living room. And we've got a formal entryway space and 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. I also feel very strongly if you wanted to give your rooms a more interesting shape, maybe you want this bedroom to have their own bathroom, I think you could give that to them. So it's just kind of playing around with whatever works for you and what works for the family that you're building for. But that is the basics of how I create my floor plans and how I go about making the exteriors of the houses look less boxy. Please let me know if in any place I was unclear or if you have any questions in the comments and if there's more that you'd like to see from this series. So drop any build questions you have and I would be happy to make some more videos on them in the future. I'd like to give a special shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for the extra support. It really does mean the world to me. If you'd also like to become a channel member, you can find the link in the description below. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have the best rest of your day and I will see you in the next one. Bye.